Previously in the Hip Show 80 Kilo Tournament, it was Detroit dominating their first matchup against Akaya Divizia. It was Capral, as you're about to see, with a big slam that took out Asa from Dakaya.
Then it was a 2-on-1 assault from Ronan and Capral, and that was all she wrote. Detroit set the standard for the 80 kilo teams right away.
That's right. We are going to see this thing go down, and then we moved on to our next first-round matchup. Sparta battling the Industrials. The Industrials taking the early 1-0 lead. Then after an elimination in the third round,
that's when Sparta went 2-on-1 and tapped out the Industrials, setting up tonight's epic bout.
Welcome to Moscow, Russia, the arena, and another episode of Hip Show. Cyrus Fees alongside Casey Oxenite, and tonight, two undefeated teams in the 80 kilo division will go to war.
That's right, partner. Detroit and Sparta took both of their first-round opponents, and they picked them apart. Both teams got the finish, and they're ready to tear the arena to shreds here in Moscow.
Let's take a look at the rules, Casey. 3 2-minute rounds with submissions only allowed in the third round. The arena houses 5 obstacles: the bus stop, the GM hole, the table, the snake, and the cake, where it all begins, Casey.
Then you have multiple ways to score points, including throws and takedowns. Of course, an uncontested flurry of strikes, clean head kicks, all of these will get you 1 point. For 3 points, you can lock on submission holds, or you can land a big knockdown by punches or head kicks. And for 5 points and the elimination of one of your opponents, you can either get a stoppage by knockout or submission.
In addition, you can hold one of the obstacles. Now, the bus stop and the table will garner you 1 point if you can hold it for 10 seconds. And for 2 points, you can hold on to the GM hole or the snake, but obviously they're more narrow, so it's a little bit more difficult. Now, finally, the fouls, including any intentional throw or takedown off of the obstacles. Obviously, this is a dangerous move, very exciting, but it's not tolerated in the arena. Any sort of striking on the cake is not allowed as well. Now, these will result in warnings and finally a disqualification. Come the fighters into the arena. That's right, the teams of Detroit and Sparta, both teams 1-0 in the 80 kilo tournament. Let's take a closer look at these two teams. First up, Casey, it's the team of Sparta.
That's right. First, we have Gladiator, one of the absolute toughest fighters here in Hip Show. This guy is a recent MMA tournament champion, and he has really shown his talents here in the arena. Then we have Akul. He is a master of sport in wrestling, judo, and a recent bronze medalist in combat sambo.
That's right, Casey. He can do it all. Now we move to the team of Detroit.
That's right. First up is Ronan, perhaps the most destructive force in all of Hip Show. He is an absolute machine, a medalist in freestyle wrestling, combat sambo, and he can throw some serious firepower. Then there's his partner, Gambit. First time we've seen him here in Hip Show action, but another master of sport candidate in the very popular combat sambo discipline.
We'll be back with more Hip Show action from Moscow. Keep it right here. Welcome back to Hip Show Night.
And now from the Hip Show Arena in Moscow, Russia, it's time to play.
Time to get the action started. 2 1-0 teams here, Sparta and Detroit, ready to throw down and pick up that second win and guarantee themselves a spot in the finals, Casey.
That's right. 3 men that we've seen a lot of and 1 newcomer. We're talking about Gambit.
And they're both going for the structures right out of the gate, trying to get that 1-point advantage.
Oh, and look at this, man. Gambit getting initiated in true Hip Show fashion. Wow, Gladiator all over him.
Gladiator, one of the true, tried and true veterans here in Hip Show. And there they go once again, Ronan and Agul throwing each other off of that table.
Well, look at Ronan. He's all over the place. He landed a big shot on Gladiator a second ago.
You just never can tell where Ronan's going to be next.
And look at this, man. Gambit, he's still trying to shake those cobwebs out.
Gladiator is so tough to deal with, Casey. Gladiator and Ronan are the two guys that kind of stay in your head because they've done so much damage.
They are a major, major force in this game, and it is very exciting to see these two matched up, although we've not seen them really throw yet.
There we go.
Ronan actually landed a big shot on Gladiator, but Gladiator, he was occupied by the Gambit at the time.
There's so much going on here in HipShow. You got to keep your eye on it. And here it is, Gladiator doing work on Gambit, trying to throw some ground and pound and score some early points here in round number 1.
Yeah, Gambit, he really needs to get this show going.
Whoa.
Look at that! Ronan covering the back of Gambit. That's what this is all about right here.
Coming out of nowhere like a wrecking ball from the side. Ronan just kind of evening up the score there. We're still sitting at 0-0 in round number 1. No points have been scored. They split up. It's a Ghoul and Gambit throwing down here, Casey. And I'll tell you what, a Ghoul's another tough competitor that, he's been around. He's done a lot of damage.
Look at that. Once again, Gladiator landing another cheap shot. Only it's not a cheap shot when it's done here in HipShow. That's the game.
That is exactly the game. There's so much strategy instilled here. It was a 2-on-1 attack on Ronan. As you can see, a Ghoul laying down some ground and pound on Ronan.
Wow. But look at this. Ronan right out the back door and a big left hook.
I'm telling you what, one big shot from Ronan could be lights out for a Ghoul.
Whoa, and there it comes, man. You're a fortune teller, Cyrus.
I'm telling you, what a shot from Ronan to end round number 1. Although no points were scored, I'll tell you that final shot definitely has to go to Detroit, getting that big right hand. Let's take a look at the replays, Casey. Look at that overhand right.
Huge shot by Ronan. That's what he is so dangerous for. This guy is a true animal of the sport.
I'm telling you, that was a huge right hand. You see that spinning kick from Gambit. It didn't land, but you can tell this guy has some very creative strikes.
Ooh,
and that knee from Gladiator.
Very, very nice.
Just when you think you've seen it all, we throw you a curveball and show you something new. Here on HipShow, you see the ground and pound, you see
Boom,
Ronan.
That big tackle, man. Did Ronan play for the NFL? That's what I want to know.
He looks like a linebacker for sure. How about that round number 1? It's 0-0, but the action was certainly here in our first round matchup between Sparta and Detroit. Round 2 after the break. We'll be right back with more HipShow action. Welcome back to HipShow. It's a 3-0 lead for Detroit. Can Sparta answer back?
Let's get back to the cake and find out.
That's right. It's round number 2, and the score is even 0-0. There
And
they go.
again, look at that. Detroit back to the table, doing what they do best, maybe hoping to acquire those points that they missed in round 1.
Gladiator's too tough, though. I mean, Gambit does not have the power to hold him off of that table, and they just can't make it happen.
Nah, look at this. Now they're inside the table. Look at this.
Ronan raining down shots on a Ghoul. They're in the middle of the table fighting.
Brother, talk about close quarters. That epitomizes, once again, what HipShow is all about. There's nowhere to run.
That's right. We've never seen this before. They are actually grappling and throwing shots inside the table, and it looks like the referees are going to get them out from underneath the table.
Yeah, they're going to climb out of there, and they're going to restart this thing.
Bro, I have to tell my daughter to get out from underneath the table all the time.
Wow, look at this. Look at this. They switched up. A big shot by Ronan, and it was on the Gladiator. Gladiator knocked down, and could this be it?
No, it might be it. I think it's just going to be a knockdown, though. It looks like Gladiator can't continue, so they're going to get 3 points for sure, Casey, because Ronan landed some heavy fire.
That was a solid shot. I thought the Gladiator might have been out of this thing.
And they're still fighting over there as you see a Ghoul on top of Gambit. Gambit, it just seems like he's not even a good match over here. This poor guy.
Here it is. Look at that big left hook, man. It was a barrage of strikes. And once again, you said it before, Ronan's such a beast.
Oh, he is an absolute beast. One of my favorite competitors here in the HipShow. They're going to reset. 3 points on the board.
And here they go. Ronan wants another piece of Gladiator. Look at this.
Nice defense this time from Gladiator, not allowing the takedown. 3-0 Detroit. About 30 seconds left of this one as they get a Ghoul and Gambit.
Oh, man, look at this. Ronan all over the Gladiator. He is making his presence felt right here.
A Ghoul stepping over there to try to get Ronan off of his partner just to break things up. Gambit's getting warned right there. No shots in the back of the head. You have to be a little bit careful with some of these shots.
Look at this, man. And Gambit, he is running the gambit, if you will. Look at this. He is picking his shots, and he is taking on whoever he wants because he's on top.
It's an absolute dog pile here in the final 10 seconds of round number 2. We got the big points on the board. 3 big points for Detroit, and they are comfortably in the lead here for this first round battle.
Comfortably numb is more like it, brother. These guys have been landing some serious leather.
And it doesn't look like he's going to get the takedown in time there, Casey. Agul went for the takedown, and if it would have been a second earlier, he may have got a point. But it looks like it's going to be 3-0 Detroit. Wow. All it took was Ronan.
Huge domination by Detroit right here.
Here it is. You see it happen right here. Look at these guys. Man, there's so much to watch for. And here is the combination.
Boom. Big left hook once again.
Right on the money, and Agul was all over Gambit there trying to even the score, but he couldn't quite do enough to score some points.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. It was that big shot right there that signaled a lot of trouble for Gladiator. I didn't know if he would make it out of this round.
I think it's so interesting how they pick their opponents. You saw Ronan right in front of Agul, but he makes a beeline to Gladiator and takes him out. It's like he has some sort of vengeance to get on Gladiator. I think because they're the two most popular fighters here that we've seen.
Right, and that's the trickery that makes HipShow different than any other sport in the entire world.
What a round number 2.
Still 3-0 after a very competitive round 2. Sparta has to be in desperation mode going into this third and final round.
We'll be back with more HipShow action from Moscow. Keep it right here. Welcome back to HipShow. Detroit still out in front 3-0, but submissions are now legal.
Third and final round. Let's go to the cake.
It's the third and final round. It is going down. Casey Oxenine, what's going to happen? Can they even the score?
It's going to be more of the same. These guys are all over each other, all over the cake. And what's going to happen? Look at this. Look at this situation. It's literally dragging Gambit off of the cake.
Gladiator just trying to exact a little revenge here on the team of Detroit after being knocked down in round number 2. As you see, Ronan and Agul have a bit of a wrestling match here. Both have great credentials in Sambo and wrestling, but Ronan is an absolute animal, and he gets that back position.
And you got to know these guys are so tired. They have worked so hard. This is not an MMA match or a kickboxing match. This is everything encompassed. You've got to do it all, and these guys do it.
Well, you see, he got the back there. And remember, round number 3, that means submissions are legal, so they are going to go for the stoppage and try to get that tap out. These guys are so versed in Sambo, you know they want to find those leg locks and just mix in a submission.
They want to finish this fight is what they want to do, man. Like I said, they have to be absolutely exhausted, and they want to finish strong.
There we go, Gambit trying to throw that spinning kick once again. And remember, Sparta is down 3 points. If they can finish off an opponent, they're going to get 5 points and take the lead.
Look at that. Big takedown right here by Agul. Is this going to count?
I don't know if they're going to give him the points or not. Yeah. It looks like they were both down when he exacted that.
Well, Ronan's back hadn't touched the mat yet, so who knows?
Yeah, exactly. As you can see, Gladiator working on Gambit, the inexperienced Gambit that's never been in HipShow action before. Gladiator trying to make something happen.
Look at this. Ronan on his back, Agul with great positioning. But watch this. Watch the hips of Ronan. He's getting back to that base, doing what he has to do.
Just so short and powerful. You could see it looked like Gambit was going to try to get over there and land a shot on Agul, but he gets tied up there with Gladiator. Only 15 seconds for some points to go on the board. Otherwise, Detroit's getting the win.
It's go for broke time, and you see Gladiator over there throwing the big knees, landing the heavy leather, doing what he has to do. And once again, look at this. A big takedown by Agul on top of the Ronan.
Well, it gets 0, Casey, so it looks like we're going to be sitting at 3-0. No extra points have been added to the board. Detroit takes this first fight between Sparta and Detroit, and two cities that are very known for having some fighters, and we really had a heck of a matchup tonight.
That could be the deciding factor on the first HipShow champion right here.
You got that right. You're going to see Detroit move to 2-0, which pretty much guarantees them a spot in the finals to battle for the championship, and that's where it happened right here. This is where it changed all of it.
It changed it all. That is where having the wild card in Ronan really, really pays off for Detroit.
You see the replay here. It was this wrestling match between Agul and Ronan, both guys having their spots, but there was no finish instilled. So it's going to be Detroit that holds on here, and I think Detroit is such a force. They could go 3-0 and just be a lock, absolutely.
Without a doubt, man. These guys are the star of the show so far, but you know what? This is HipShow. You never know what's going to happen.
Oh, man, you couldn't say it any better, Casey. Casey. You never know what's going to happen. As you see the possible spinning kick there, couldn't land it. Gamet looked pretty good here in his debut in Hip Show, but it took him a little while to kind of get his feet among.
Yeah, he had to warm up, man. But just like the rest of this talent, once you warm up, you get involved with the game of Hip Show, you learn how to play it, you're in the game.
So Detroit takes this big match against Sparta. Now we're going to go to an interview with the team of Detroit.
Победили гладиатора, который одержал 2 нокаута. Парни, походу у нас родились новые чемпионы. Какие ощущения, сколько отдали сил?
Я отдал все, очень много, вес гонял, 10 килограмм за неделю. Пацаны вымотали дико. Если бы не Арсен, наверное, трудно получилось бы. Смысл командного спорта. То, что друг за друга 2 на 2.
Арсен сегодня просто отправил в нокдаун гладиатора, сильного бойца. Этот соперник был слаб для тебя?
Ну, здесь нет слабых соперников, еще раз говорю. Но сегодня было очень круто, если честно. Я выложился на все 100. Я рад, что мы победили, потому что мы дали много сил этому. Ну, еще раз доказали, что мы опять-таки сильнее. Спасибо всем, кто за нас болел, и тем, кто болел против нас. Вы нас зарядили энергией. Спасибо большое.
Молодцы, с победой!
Well, we never seem to be surprised here in Hip Show. Who would think that a 3-0 score would hold up between these two teams?
Both teams had great strategy, and their defensive game was on point. Ronan showed again why he is the most destructive force in Hip Show and sealed that victory for Detroit.
Next week, the Industrials go to war with Dekai Division, and the standings could get very interesting. We'll close it out with some beautiful dancers here in the arena. For myself, Casey Oxenine, David Petrosian, and Yana Kostenko, Spokona Noche.
And a good night from Moscow.
We'll see you next week
on Hip Show.